Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the New Fashion Conservatives podcast. I'm your host, Justin Phillips. With me, as always, the man who makes me sound so good, Shadow Governor Voss.
Robin Voss's strongest soldier.
Hopefully you're coming off your Thanksgiving, getting ready for Christmas, and getting in that spirit by watching your favorite Christmas movies. Maybe it's Gremlins, Die Hard, or Batman Returns, some of the classics. But we've got a jam-packed episode for you tonight. We're going to start off by talking about the congressional race in the 7th District. We're going to be talking about some shocking policy proposals that are coming out of the legislature. And we're going to finish up with a little talk about cheeseburgers. So with that, let's get into it. There are 3 candidates now for the Republican primary for the 7th Congressional District, which is Tom Tiffany's current district that he'll be vacating to run for governor. One of them is Paul Wostren. Not going to talk about him a whole lot tonight, but there are 2 kind of candidates that are starting to really emerge, and that's Jesse Eben and Michael Alfonso. So Jesse Eben ran actually against DVO a couple years ago in that primary, but she moved up to the 7th Congressional District. I believe she's got family up there. I think she's starting to grow on me as a candidate. I think she's starting to make the right moves. Now, I think if you're someone who's ran for Congress once before, you kind of know what you're doing a bit more, so you hit the ground running a bit quicker. You know how to message properly. I know there is some pushback on her candidacy because she did sign the Walker recall papers. We've talked about this before, that we think that's going to be a major issue in that race, because that was 14 years ago now, and she was certainly much younger than she is now.
Yeah, people can change their views.
Yeah, and I think at the time her mom was a teacher, and she thought she was doing the right thing by signing for it. But bigger announcement most recently is Michael Alfonso. So Michael, for those who don't know, is Sean Duffy's son-in-law. Sean Duffy being the person who represented that district before Tom Tiffany. Now, there was a little kerfuffle on social this week. I don't know if some folks may have caught it, because he's 25 years old. And that would make him the youngest member of Congress if he were to win in the next cycle. And there is something to be said about the youngest member of Congress. You look back at who's claimed that role past couple of cycles, you kind of have some people who aren't super intellectual heavyweights, let's say. AOC for the longest time was there. Madison Cawthorn was a Republican who got himself into some hot water. So it's a good question to ask. Like, is 25 too young, and is Jesse the right person for that district? So Shadow Gov, your thoughts. Lead us off. I'm a little surprised that there are so many people in that area of the state from like the local level that could have thrown their hat in the ring and just haven't. Right.
And so with the absence of that, it's pretty much like a kind of who's who of who wants to be this is Congress. This is not, this isn't state Senate. This isn't state assembly.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused why someone else didn't throw their hat in the ring. Maybe they're just content. They don't want to go to Congress.
Or did Sean Duffy imply that his son-in-law was going to get the Trump endorsement? And did that clear the field in a frustrating? I could understand the frustration by some state senators if they think that's going to happen in this case.
Yeah. So that would be a whole nother thing, because obviously a Trump endorsement probably clears the field, especially for the 7th Congressional. Mm-hmm. You're basically guaranteed. But honestly, just with the candidates that we have right now, and nothing against Jesse, but I can overlook a lot of stuff. But when you have the Walker recall and you kind of carpet bagged, I'm not like necessarily like if people carpet bag, like, and I'm not saying I support that, but like I can also understand it a little bit. But at the same time, it is a congressional district. Mm-hmm. If you have to carpet bag to different congressional districts, they're pretty big. Like those lines, unless the Democrats get control and slice everything up, like they're not going to change all that much. So I'm actually okay with allowing just Michael Alfonso kind of run away with it.
Okay.
Honestly. So that's just me personally.
And I'm, immediately going to catch flack with a certain section of the, Gen Z conservatives. If I'm going to send them into a bit of a tizzy if I say he's a bit too young, because, you look at the history of the 6 congressional districts that are represented by Republicans in Wisconsin, and 3 of them have a very traditional trajectory. So Scott Fitzgerald, Senate, Congress. Before him, Jim Sensenbrenner, Assembly, Senate, Congress.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the same thing. Glenn Grothman, Assembly, Senate, Congress. Tom Petri, Senate. I think he ran for both Assembly and Senate, but he was in state legislature first. And the 7th congressional district, Sean Duffy was kind of a slight outlier in that he was a DA, but he was an elected official for about a decade before running for Congress. Tom Tiffany, again, Assembly, Senate, Congress. Michael Alfonso would be a little bit out of the norm.
Traditional, yeah.
Whereas the other 3 districts, even on the Democrat side, Ron Kind wasn't, I don't believe, was a member of the Assembly or Senate.
I don't think so.
DVO, not, Brian Stile, not a member of the legislature. Before him, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan was 29 when he first got elected. And again, you want to talk about someone, again, if you're saying that Michael Alfonso is too young and doesn't have that life experience that you may traditionally want, you'd kind of write off. You would have said then that Paul Ryan isn't qualified. And, say what you will about him now, he was for the longest time the fiscal hawk, the guy who wanted entitlement reform done in Congress. I know he got kind of thrust into the role of speaker, and he probably didn't want it. And I think that kind of put him on a frustrating trajectory. But Paul Ryan was 29. He was a speechwriter for Sam Brown back and worked for Freedom Works, which was Jack Kemp's organization. You look at Tony Weed, not a member of Congress. Before him, Mike Gallagher, not a member of the Assembly or Senate. Mike Gallagher, not a member of the Assembly or Senate. Reed Ribble, same thing. I think even Steve Kagan, who was the Democrat on that side, wasn't there. So you have 3 districts who traditionally don't send members of the state legislature up, and you have 3 that send someone with an elected position. And that's kind of just the tradition of those districts. And either Jesse or Michael in that case are going to buck that tradition. But at 25 years old, you're kind of saying you're a construction worker, but you kind of did that as a summer job. 25 again, kind of young. I have some reservations about that. I'm not saying, don't hear what I'm not saying.
Yeah.
If he wins that primary, good for him. If he's gonna, he's gonna win that general, great. Like I'm not saying don't vote for him. I'm not saying vote for Jesse. I'm not saying any of those things. It's just right now, that's a question worth asking. And
of course, then you have to contend with the fact that the 7th congressional district is also probably a little bit older in nature, and having a 25-year-old, they might be slightly skeptical. So it might not even just be like a it might be quite literally like his age is 25. Like I just don't necessarily trust that. But again, if a Trump endorsement comes in, that probably wipes everything away. Michael Alfonso, congratulations on being a congressman-elect.
I think back to our conversations with some of our first episodes, we definitely didn't have this as a prediction. We didn't think someone like Michael Alfonso or even Jesse Eben were going to run for that seat. We thought there was going to be members of the state legislature that were eyeing it up, and maybe it's they kind of withdrew. Maybe it's because of what Sean Duffy told them. I don't know, just speculating. But there's maybe still opportunity, and we've already kind of dismissed Paul Waskren.
Yeah.
Maybe some will bubble up with him. So, it's out there, but certainly think it's a reasonable thing to ask if someone who's 25 years old is up to the task of being a member of Congress. So we'll have to see how that goes.
And honestly, last thing I'll just say on this is, I'm almost more inclined to give a young person a chance at this just to change things up a little bit. Just because sometimes having that fresh perspective and maybe even being slightly inexperienced, and this is going to make me sound like a quote unquote like a Patriot Front group or something, which is like then the establishment hasn't gotten or whatever, which is like, that's not what I'm really saying, but there might be a little bit where your instincts might naturally tend to be more quote unquote logical from a grassroots perspective if you just are so kind of fresh behind the ears that that's not even a consideration.
So you look at Paul Ryan was 29, Brian Stile was 34. I think Mike Gallagher was 34. Like, I know that's a 9-year difference, and it's kind of a lot, but that I don't think at the time Mike Gallagher was married. Brian Stile just recently got engaged, so he's already married. So you have that life experience. There's some check boxes there. So, Wisconsin has sent people
Does he have
of this
kids?
age. I don't think so.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't think I saw that. So
No, but we'll see how the next couple of months shake out, and if Trump comes through with that endorsement, it'll change things up. But I tend to lean towards wanting someone with a bit stronger of a resume. That's just me, and I'm not gonna bash this kid.
You're also not a voter of the Congressional
exactly.
District.
So it really doesn't matter.
Yep.
But let me tell you something that I was shocked to find out recently, and I mean absolutely shocked. Dumbfounded. You wouldn't believe this information. Everyone, just pause what you're doing. Pull over to the side of the road. Stop your treadmill. Pause the TV. Whatever you got to do. You got to hear what I'm about to say very clearly. Prisons are a punishment.
I've never heard this before.
I know. So I'm going to read from an article posted recently.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
Yeah, this is right. Drop that meme when we're promoting this episode. So I'm going to actually read a little bit from the Wisconsin Examiner. And so a group of Democrats has been demanding to see the conditions within the Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility, but claims the Department of Corrections backed out of a tour. Rep. Darren Madison of Milwaukee, going to clarify that, said the conditions in prison are unacceptable. We are not going to normalize inhumanity. Madison of Milwaukee said that in some incarceration facilities, people may be locked in their cells for 20 to 23 hours a day for months. They are denied sunlight, said Madison of Milwaukee. They're denied movement. They're denied programming. They're denied medical care. They're denied basic human contact. There are facilities where people can't even get consistent access to quality hygiene products, where the food is so poor it does not meet the nutritional needs of grown adults, where communication with family, the very thing that reduces recidivism, is treated like a privilege instead of a right. Inhumane conditions in Wisconsin's jails and prisons, Madison said, is a state-sanctioned violence. So now legislators, with the help of an organization called, get this, Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, are announcing a package of bills aimed at improving conditions in prisons and jails, several of which would provide free phone calls and text messages, free hygiene products, granting incarcerated people recess and extra baths, but there's no mention of tubby toys or rubber duckies, and requirements on housing temperature. I mean, literally, there's going to be a bill that says it has to be between 67 and like 75 degrees. Some of the show
you should be reprimanded for that.
Right. I know. My kids are super into that, by the way.
Gosh, it's like the worst. It's like the worst of brain rot come to life. And except for everyone, like there was a congressman who did it on the floor.
Right. Okay.
The memes are horrible. But it's funny because I ironically say it as well. But
so since I've torpedoed the conversation,
completely derailed
by bringing that up, before we get back into this, first off, I don't understand what it is. My kids are in early elementary school, so
the point.
By this point,
there is no point. It's quite literally, it comes from a meme. It comes from an edit. It's for like specifically regarding like a specific NBA player, and it like cuts to a song where they say 6'7", and it kind of turned into a meme, and it basically turned into this. It also turned into this joke where.
Is it a Little Wayne? Is it the Little Wayne song 6'7"?
No. You're no, it's not. It's a new song. I can't remember.
It's a new song. What? It's okay. That was released in 2010. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's 15 years ago.
Stop it. Okay. I'm not ready for that.
No, I also like that 6'10". That's a good song. But I'm fairly certain that there's actually no point to the meme.
Okay.
Because I think someone like did it just kind of like a joke, but like there's actually I don't think there's a legitimate reason other than it originated from like basically an Instagram edit of a specific player. They would do like, the cool little edits of the player, but it was to this song where they said 6'7", and then it just kind of morphed from there.
Okay.
There might be some other
more than I know about.
There might be some other subplots to that, but I genuinely think, and I feel like such a boomer because I'm usually really good on the internet stuff, where it's like even there's a meme I don't totally understand, I'll figure it out. This one, I'm fairly certain there's actually no like crux that gives it like, why is it funny? I think it's funny because people just get annoyed by it.
So, folks, you come to our podcast getting hot takes and deep cuts on policy, what's going on in the state legislature, and now you learn about memes. Now, my kids
Know Your Meme is a great website,
but my kids are super into it. But by the time you're early elementary school, that pretty much means the things kind of run its course, right? But I will point out, as an elder millennial who was super into pro wrestling, between
did you also like making grilled cheeses at night?
No, between like 4th and 8th grade, there was one action that every kid on the playground did for the wrestling stable Degeneration X. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And at least my kids aren't going around doing the DX chop whenever they're around. You know, like I'm pretty sure I got in trouble for doing that while walking up to communion one Sunday, you know, just right to my buddies. So of all things that they're going to do, this little 6'7" thing isn't that big of a deal. But
it's not like an innuendo or anything.
No. At
least that I'm aware of. So,
but
okay, so yeah, we're 20 minutes in and we haven't really said anything. So, getting back to the Democrats complaining about jails.
Yeah, please.
And 6'7". So, I mean, the whole point of jails is, and I know this is hard for Democrats to realize, but you lose rights.
Yeah.
When you go into jail, like you do, like you sacrifice them, and that's kind of like the whole point of jail is that you did things. You're going to jail. You've lost some of those privileges or rights, as you call them. So, like, does that mean I think you should be treated inhumanely? No, but
you're not getting a comfy mattress and a good pillow every night.
You're getting 3 meals a day, and you got a bed to sleep.
Right. So some of this shows me how stupid Milwaukee Democrats actually are compared to their counterparts in other states and federally,
or just Madison Democrats.
Back in my day, and by that I mean during the Biden or Obama administrations, some lefties would create an NGO. They'd get millions from USAID, George Soros, Piero Madeira, Reed Hastings to do prison reform. They'd put a congressman's wife as the executive director to pull a salary. They'd funnel millions into pro-lefty, pro-crime, prison abolitionist PACs and give them exceptionally large salaries and occasionally give inmates free toothbrushes. And so people like Chris Larson could pat themselves on the back for doing something. But instead, they're going to the government to get free stuff for a marginalized, quote-unquote, group. If they really cared, I think they'd actually go to the inner city black churches and pass the hat to get the folks in prison their needs met.
Well, and government isn't meant to solve now, again, there are basic things that they should be able to have in prison, but like at the same time, there's a reason there are like government doesn't do charity well. That's why we have religious organizations, because they do it much better and more effectively, I should say. So again, I'm not surprised that the Democrats are mad about this. If there are legitimate concerns, great. Right. Sure. That's awesome. Also, I do think that representatives should have the ability to tour these facilities. So like, this isn't like even like a partisan thing. Like, yeah, if you want to see the jail as an elected official, you should. I do, however, I wonder if this dovetails into them trying to get into like an ICE facility or something.
That's good. That's an angle I didn't even think of.
Yeah. Like, well, what if, you know, because I think one of the bills is pertaining to that, which like, yeah, I think that they should be able to go into like a state-run facility if they want to. Now, that's not a problem. But I wonder if they're trying to like weave that, like, oh, okay, well,
let's go into this ICE facility, and here's this giant lever that says unlock all doors.
Well, there's that, of course, but ICE is building. Sorry, Milwaukee's not building; they're renovating a property on the northwest side. It's like right in the northwest corner of Milwaukee County.
Sure.
And of course, there's all the controversy you've heard about the MSOE one, because MSOE actually owns the building that currently in Milwaukee. So they're trying to move out to the northwest, but yeah, I'm sure they would try to dovetail that into maybe the ICE facility. But that's neither here nor there. you lose rights when you go to jail.
Yeah. No, so interestingly enough, when I was working with Ken Skaronski, who was chairing the Veterans Committee, we actually took a trip up to Camp Douglas. So Camp Douglas has this really, I think, amazing facility called the Challenge Academy. Now, it's not prison. It's kind of military school. But it's for kids who
at risk.
They're like on that cusp of making a bunch of bad decisions that are going to lead to worse ones. Now they can't be felons, and they have to go willingly. But you get this. That's kind of a wedge. A group that you can target to send to a get them away from the bad influences, get them into a structured environment, and I think it's amazing. And so, we've already toured one of those when I was a member of the staffing the Veterans Committee. Would hopefully encourage, if the Democrats want to do something, go up to the Challenge Academy in Camp Douglas and realize how great it is, and realize that needs to be replicated to get those kids before they're felons. Now, I'm also willing, I'll drop this out there. I'm willing to entertain some prison and correctional reform. My spicy take might be that I think that certain crimes, especially if you're someone who will get out of prison and maybe isn't that violent, high risk reoffender, like I think those prison sentences shouldn't actually be a set date. And I think they should be at the requirement that you get your GED. You're in there till you get an education. You're in there till you get your high school, you get your associates, your bachelor's. I think you should have some measurable outcomes for those people who can run the low risk of recidivism, of going back in. So I'm willing to entertain some things to, get some more programming in prisons to help those individuals.
I mean, you do want people to ultimately be successful, but
yeah,
punishment and accountability still has to be extracted
100%,
out of people.
100%.
So yeah, there's a balancing act. You just assume that the Clancys of the world are trying to switch those balances. So it's
right. Well, they're on that abolition side of prison.
Pretty much.
We're on the side of getting the people that are using their time wisely. Exactly. Yeah. So again, want to bring up something else that's shocking. So if you haven't already been completely shocked by what I just said, that prisons are punishments, I'm going to bring up another shocking topic. So brace yourselves, folks. UW professors need to teach.
The horror.
Unbelievable.
Wait, their job is to teach, though.
You would think. So going to read from a Journal Sentinel article here that says, when lawmakers passed a new state budget this year, they approved a roughly $256 million increase in funding for Wisconsin's 13 public universities. But that money came with some strings attached, including a new requirement for how much faculty needs to teach. Starting next fall, full-time faculty at instructional academic staff at UW-Madison and UW-Milwaukee will need to teach at least one course per semester.
That's it.
Course per semester, and a minimum of 12 credit hours each school year. Employees at other state universities face higher requirements. Now, this used to be called publish or perish. You used to actually have to be working on something and teaching to be at a university. But now, for the longest time, a lot of professors didn't have to meet some of those requirements, and it was kind of a question mark of what they were actually doing while they were collecting a salary.
Seems pretty common sense to me, just to make sure people that, do have tenure are continuing to work, and it's not just
job.
Not just, freeloading essentially, which I think there's probably a lot of teachers that do this already, but clearly there has to be a reason behind this legislation. So
I think one class a semester means 3 days a week for 50 minutes to an hour, 2 days a week for 90-ish minutes.
And you have a TA too. I mean,
right. So it seems like anyone in the real world would see this as a easy requirement.
Also, it saves on money too, so you don't have to pay another person to teach another class.
But critics say the policy change fails to capture all of the work that is done on campuses. They also fear that it will limit professors' ability to conduct other university work and damage future recruitment efforts. It's probably the worst argument you can come up with is we can't recruit teachers if they have to teach.
That is an extremely weak argument. If that shows that there pretty much is no argument. This is just like,
Yep.
yeah, we don't really like this. We've had a pretty good gravy train recently, but and this is the bare minimum too. There are other states that have done more. So like this is not even asking a lot. This is asking quite literally the bare minimum.
Yep. So as much as we like to talk about all the great things conservatives are doing, all the great things the Republican legislature is doing, and on our previous episode, we covered a lot of that in that episode. Go back and check it out. And if you want to hear some of our interviews with the great folks running for office, we've got interviews with Josh Schoeman, David Varnum, Scott Fitzgerald, who covered the shutdown, which I know it's over now, but if you need a refresher on knowing what that was all about, go check it out. Scott was fabulous. And of course, Tom Tiffany. But Republicans don't always do the best. They don't always come up with the best ideas. And this one, again, reading from the Journal Sentinel, article by Laura Schulte. Republicans float fees for hiking, biking, and foraging on state land to raise funds for the DNR. Now, back in my day, the idea of raising fees without cutting spending wasn't really conservative. And the idea of raising funds for the DNR is not always a good one. So these bills were recently introduced by Representative Chance Green of Grandview and Senator Rob Stachel of New Richmond. So one of the bills would establish a hiking permit, which would require anyone traveling on foot on a groomed hiking trail, so Tony Evers won't know what that is at all, on state-owned land. The permit would cost $20 for adults, $10 for children 12 and older. So if you want to walk, you got to pay at least $20. No permit would be needed for children under 12. Another would require anyone using non-motorized boat in Wisconsin to register it, removing the exemption in current state law. No prices were included in the registration fee, but any of that money paid to the DNR would be used toward the cost of funding the development or enhancement of programs and services that directly benefit non-motorized boating activities. Another proposed bill would create a permit for foraging on state lands. The permit would cost $40 per adult and $20 per children over 12. Another proposed permit would require a bicycle permit for anyone using trails on state-owned land. The permit would cost $40 for adults, $20 for children 12 and older. Finally, a permit would be required for cross-country skiing on state land, with permits costing $40 per adult and $20 per child. So if you want to bike, walk, or when the winter is right, cross-country on state land, you would owe $40 to do so. Now, the one I could almost get behind is the non-motorized boat. But then again, that money is going towards the cost of funding or developing, enhancing of programs or services that directly benefit non-motorized boating activities. I don't necessarily know what that means, and again, the article doesn't expand on it very much. I'd like to hear a bit more, but non-motorized boating activities, so lakes and rivers, we're gonna
I don't
development
exactly
or enhance rivers and lakes.
So I have a couple opinions about this.
Yeah.
I generally, in principle, if we're not cutting anything and we're raising it as just a general principle, that's not super great. On the other hand, this is not quite the same, but you also pay to get into federal state parks.
Yeah, paying to get in is fine, but then it's like there's kind of the belief that
we don't really have like state parks, like we don't have like a glacier or a Yellowstone type of.
No, but we've got some great state parks, and I think if you buy that pass, you get into it.
So I agree, though. Like the idea of a DNR warden stopping someone to be like a hiking permit, boy, I really don't like that. I really don't like that.
I kind of get the logic. It's not good in my opinion, but I kind of understand where I think these legislators are coming from and saying that, well, the people who hike, bike, use non-motorized boats,
they don't pay anything,
and cross-country skiers, well, they're also kind of the hippies. They're also the kind of the conservationists that,
but they don't,
like they're not paying. You're right. They're not getting screwed like the fishermen hunters and the hunters who, Evers jacks up the prices on those licenses every budget cycle because we have to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to be in compliance with the DNR,
there's 600,000 hunters.
Yeah.
Like, that's a ton of
Yeah.
people. Okay. I don't know if there's, I mean, all kinds of people hike, but
it just seems like, I think that's actually going to defeat the purpose. Like, if you're someone who's like, I don't know what I'm going to do today, let's go for a hike. Well, I got to pay $40 to do it.
on state, but it's on state line.
Sure. Yeah. But like
I know.
around here, you're going to take the Ice Age Trail. You're going to go up to Latham Heath. Like those are cool places to spend some time. But I think it's more discouraging than it is anything. And, I'm not someone who wants to put more money into the DNR without seeing some substantial measurable cuts.
But like, for example, the DNR, like if we could get the DNR back to doing the things that it should be, like stocking lakes, making sure that, the lakeways, dredging, stuff like that. That's all great. You do need money from somewhere. How is it going to pay for it? Now, you could fund it with other stuff. Like if we just had an absolute booming tourism market and we just we don't need licensing fees. Just half of the tourism budget pays for the DNR. Fantastic. But I just don't think we're there. So what do? You need to raise money somehow. It goes against everything in my body to be like, let's
add a fee.
Let's add a fee. Let's tax someone for literally hiking.
Literally walking.
I know it bothers me so much. But again, at the same time, it's like, what if a compromise is, okay, we lower the hunter and the fishing fees, but then we lower these fees as well, so they're really small. But so you have more fees but smaller amounts.
Okay.
Because I mean, at the same time, like if we're not cutting stuff right now, and we're not, like with Evers as governor, you're just not going to be able to make giant cuts to the budget. What do you do? And you do want the DNR to be able to have money to do some of these projects. Yeah. So it's like, what do you do?
Both gubernatorial candidates, both Josh Schoeman and Tom Tiffany, have come on our show. They've done those interviews, and they both talked about, splitting off the DNR into the enforcement side and, the permitting side, the onerous bullshit side, and then the people who are protecting us from poachers and making sure they aren't taking 6-inch bass and, undersized bluegill out of the lakes. Like, I'm fine with one of those sides. I'm fine with making sure that people aren't, harvesting deer out of season. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it just goes against principle to create these new permitting fees. But I understand. Again, I'm willing to understand the argument. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And I'd like to, see more from, the representative and senator who introduced this bill on their logic.
I think they have to know though that this is not going to be this is going to be an issue that's going to be very divided.
Right.
So I have to imagine that they've got some arguments lined up as to their rationale. So, and I'm sure this will come out in a public setting.
And I'm also worried that this is going to be way too punitive, because what happens if you're caught walking without a license? What happens if you're caught cross-country skiing or biking without a license? Like, you're going to face a fine, right? You're going to face. Now, I don't know if people realize something. You have a dog license for your dog. You have to renew it. You know how many people forget to renew their dog license or forget to do it in general because it's not really something you think about?
Same thing. Your walking license.
Yeah. Or renewing your bike. A lot of places, I don't know if it's I don't know what level it has to be at, but a lot of communities, or maybe even at that county level, have you have to register your bike. And really it's kind of a thing that you do when you're like 7 years old, when you get your first bike and you knock your training wheels off and, the police come and, you do this like little course to ride around and you register your bike and you pay, $5 or whatever, but you probably don't know that those registrations renew. So again, I got to renew my walking license.
Yeah.
I got to renew my canoeing license.
I cannot fully support something like that when it just is antithetical. But again, there is something to be said that these people, the full disclosure is Adam Jarko tweet.
Yeah.
Where he basically said, the people that like the DNR don't pay anything for it. The people that generally do not like the DNR are the ones footing the bill.
Yep. I understand that.
Share the wealth a little bit. And so it's a decent argument. But gosh, fees, it's just, there's something that just
Yep.
seems very principally wrong about
Mhm.
it. But again, well, I'm willing to withhold judgment until maybe a public setting reveals more.
I'm with you. If they can make a case for this, I'm willing to hear it. But again, just on principle alone, don't love it. So now, folks, I'm going to do something that I don't love doing. Now, Shadow Gov does an amazing job editing this podcast. Now, if you sat in with us when we have a full show, you'd hear my screw ups. You'd hear my fumbling over words. You'd hear all the times I ask him to cut that part out because I went on a nonsensical non sequitur. But I'm going to let Shadow Gov take a full on victory lap over something I said. And what it is Congress has recently announced they're going to reverse the 2018 Farm Bill that will now end the certain THC infused products. If you remember from our conversation a couple weeks ago, we were talking about marijuana legalization, medical marijuana legalization. And I made the comment that, you could walk into Sendix and Quick Trip and buy a Delta 9 THC infused beverage. And the horse is so far out of the barn that we might as well just slouch towards allowing it.
Yeah.
And I was, for medical, not favor of overall recreational. I'm not there, but I think medical has some value. But I said the horse is out of the barn. Well, Congress, in the shutdown bill that reopened government, put that horse back in the barn. And I'm going to let Shadow Gov take over right now and take a full-on victory lap over me and tell me how wrong I was.
Well, it's easy to say I told you so, but honestly, I wasn't expecting this. And God bless Mitch McConnell for getting that in the bill and getting that done. But it is interesting to show that this industry, first of all, it wasn't completely unregulated. Like, they did have some guardrails. The problem was, like any good Democrat, and I'm not saying this was just a Democrats that did this, because clearly the hemp industry is a huge industry. They, cultivated this, the Delta 8, Delta 9. They got legal weed, essentially. They got around the law. And that was completely unregulated, and they could give it to kids. And it's like, guys, you had a loophole. All you had to do was not exploit it.
Right.
And you probably have your industry for the foreseeable future. So don't blame Republicans. Don't blame Congress for screwing up. You guys went too far. You guys made a case to Congress to basically say, this needs to be reined in. And you couldn't help yourself because, the money was too good. And it's a $25 billion industry.
Yes.
So there's a lot of money in it. And you couldn't help yourself. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. And I have no problem with the Farm Bill, or with this provision to repeal it. And I think it's great. And it can't come sooner. So I'm so glad. We don't always get wins. And the inevitable weed legalization narrative, I remember Democrats have been saying in Wisconsin, like, oh, we're going to legalize weed. It's going to happen eventually. It's like this inevitable. It did feel like it was inevitable.
Yeah, 100%.
But maybe the tides are turning. And you don't need your weed soda, whatever the heck it is. And that goes for vape too. You heard about all the vaping stuff, right?
No, tell me more.
Oh gosh, I won't get into it too much because we're already 40 minutes into this episode. But essentially, there was also a bill last session that essentially regulated the vape, because that was, again, another industry that had gotten crazy.
Yeah.
They gotten crazy, was completely unregulated. And so the legislature said, hey, basically, you have to have a vape that's FDA approved to be sold in Wisconsin. Okay, no problem. All of a sudden, one day, though, boom, all these shops, there's hardly any vapes. It seems, and of course, the vape shop owners, oh, they banned it, blah 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 blah. If you have any of these products out, they fine you. It's like $500 or $1,000 per item. So there's a lawsuit apparently going on right now to kind of fix that. Although I think it all just got thrown out but they might be making an appeal.
Sure.
Long story short, though, there are people that I know that have like drove to Illinois to get vapes, and I'm like, guys, it's an idol. Like people are like, oh well, like I did it so I'm not smoking cigs anymore. But like, dude, you're just as addicted to the vape that you are the cigarette,
right? And the vape tastes like cotton candy or Nerds gummy clusters or Sour Patch, like
I don't know,
marketed to kids. Yeah,
maybe just not be beholden to it, but that is a whole nother issue than the vape, than the hemp stuff. But needless to say, I'm very happy that both things, two things are getting. The vapes are still legal. You can still buy them. They just have to be FDA approved.
And THC derived hemp products, you can still make them stocking stuffers this Christmas and next. It's going to be until December 26th.
Just stock up while you can.
But reading from a Newsweek article, the legislation would mean that nearly all hemp-derived THC products are removed from the store shelves across the country next year. The U.S. Hemp Roundtable predicts that the ban, which goes into effect in December of 2026, could wipe out 95% of the $28.4 billion hemp industry and have dire consequences for farmers and business owners nationwide.
So
now, I will say before.
Go ahead.
That part I think is a little bit true.
I think it's the opposite.
So there's just been I see a lot of pop-ups for your locally derived hemp products. Now, I don't think it's going to affect your CBD, melatonin, sleep gummy, or whatever. And again, there's plenty of farms even in southeastern Wisconsin that have those products. Again, it's going to be that Delta 8, Delta 9. Maybe there's a 10. Maybe by next year there'll be Delta 11 or 12. I don't know where they stop the deltas at. But yeah, I was completely wrong.
And maybe I will be wrong on this, but I also think that the market will find a way to maybe make this relevant without having to exploit this gray area.
Maybe it'll be Delta 4.
Well, it's going to be like vape. Like everyone's like, oh, there's no vapes. Like, yes, there are vapes available. Okay. Like my friends that have vapes, they're like, oh, like, dude, first of all, grow up. You got a little oral fixation.
Smoke a menthol cigarette like an adult.
Yeah. First of all, do that, or just have a binky, you little baby. Like, come on. If you have an oral fixation, here's a binky. Or a nook or whatever they call it these days. But long story short, you don't need this, but you want it. But the industry allows you to have some. The industry will catch up. There will be more FDA approved ones. Okay. If you want your black market stuff, you're going to get it anyway. If you want it, same thing's going to be with the hemp. Now, this does put them on the back foot, but I think, give it a year. The industry will have some time to adjust, and I don't think it'll be as apocalyptic. Like 95%, yeah, it'll probably be 95% right if it happened today. But if the market adapts, which probably will, it probably won't be as bad. So a little overblown. Absolute patriot victory for myself.
And I am here saying that Shadow Governor was right. The horse is back in the barn now. Shadow Gov, let's talk about. You said it yourself on our little pre-show. Your favorite controversy of the year happening right now. Tony Evers announced
that he hates Christmas.
That he hates. No. So he said, this reading from his tweet, it's that time of year again. I don't know what time he's talking about. We're getting ready to decorate the tree in the Capitol. The tree in the Capitol. I don't know what holiday is happening this time of year.
Kwanzaa.
There's a Kwanzaa tree. Hanukkah, I know they got the menorah. It's not a tree. So I don't know what holiday Tony Evers seems to be talking about here with his tree. But this year's theme is the learning tree, which sounds like an elementary school book written by Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
And ironic, of course, considering it should be the grooming tree for Tony. But make sure to send your homemade ornaments celebrating the heroes who help our kids grow and learn by ... I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I'm sure it's grow and learn by getting hugs and being texted 10,000 times by your, English teacher when you're in 10th grade. No.
10th grade, that's a little old for them.
Well, some of them, yeah. But the tree. Now, of course, Josh Schoeman, Tom Tiffany, plenty of others. I've been retweeting as many as I see.
Like clockwork.
Yeah.
Like clockwork.
Every year.
It's a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Which it is.
It is. There's only one holiday where you get a tree. You decorate it.
The brood of vipers that are in that office detest the fact that they even have to allude to Christmas, let alone but they will not say his name. You know who also doesn't like to say the name of Jesus, who recoils in fear? Demons. Coincidence? I don't know, but I'm just making correlations here. But yes, of course, this happens every year. The Democrats refuse to say the word Christ because they have, it holds power, and we want to be respectful to all other religions, which is kind of a misnomer in my opinion. I think that's all kind of like
Kwanzaa's completely fabricated.
It's a literal like Satanist religion made up by like some guy that murdered his
It was made up in like the 60s too. Like it's not this ancient religion like
but Kwanzaa's
Catholicism.
Like the founder of Kwanzaa, I'm pretty sure was a murderer.
We'll have to do a deep dive on that. But yes, I'm pretty
this
sure.
This story comes up every year, of course, but every year I forget it because I could care less about Kwanzaa. But it's just, this is how you know it's all like just anti-Christian coded stuff because, we have to be respectful to the other religions. What do you mean? Happy Hanukkah. Okay, sure. People have no problem. You want to tell people Happy Hanukkah? Sure. Not a problem. You're not going to have any qualms for me. But you will not adhere to the Christian way of just saying Merry Christmas. You can't do that. You won't do that with Hanukkah. You won't do that with any other religious. They'll say Happy Eid Mubarak. Okay, to be culturally sensitive.
Happy Diwali.
Yes, Happy Diwali, because that's culturally sensitive. But the only one they're not culturally sensitive to is Christmas, and it's on purpose, and it's very deliberate.
I genuinely thought, as at a societal level, we were over this petty, liberal, HR run bullshit about not saying Merry Christmas because it's offensive. I mean, come on. I mean, at this point, if you really want to do that, just put a giant Festivus pole in the center of the Capitol.
Yeah.
I mean, don't do obviously. But
like that, at least that I can understand because it's not really Christmas.
But I mean, come on, man.
It's
how hard is it to say Christmas tree? How hard is it to give 1 inch?
It's the fact that the United States was founded on Christian principles, has majorly been a Christian country, and the left absolutely hates that. So they have to deconstruct it, and of course, basically not give us an inch. Like the fact, and this is the white pill. This is the white pill. Christmas is never going away. Okay, it is too ingrained in American culture. Like we have discharged and we have jettisoned almost all of like most of American culture, but Christmas is one of those things that like even the most staunchest of like liberals or even atheists can even understand like how deep Christmas culture is ingrained in America.
And I guarantee you in Wisconsin, there's plenty of atheist households, plenty of maybe even Muslim
that have a Christmas tree.
Not only just have a Christmas tree, celebrate Saint Nick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of that
without ever realizing that Saint Nicholas was the patron,
the patron saint,
and is the basis for Santa Claus. Shocking. Now we could probably talk about this for far too long, and maybe as we get closer to Christmas, we will, and maybe even we should right around Christmas time, maybe our last episode, we'll do an airing of grievances like Festivus, and then we'll pause for a moment and record a feats of strength as Shadow Gov and I do push-ups and pull-ups and arm curls and goblet squats.
I just hope that I love this. Like, I know we kind of joke about, it's a, every year it's a holiday tree. No, it's a Christmas tree. But like, truly honest, there is something wrong with Democrats and the left when they use this excuse that, we just want to be respectful to every other religion, when the only religion you're not respectful to is Christianity.
I'm gonna spend time on Christmas Day.
So
sending Merry Christmas tweets to all the libs.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
See how they react.
So this is why every year we have this fight. We need to have this fight because This is like this. I think our entire culture has vindicated the slippery slope argument.
Yeah.
And if we allow them to just happy holidays their way out of Christmas, like, I mean, our culture is probably already irredeemable. But if we lose Christmas, come Lord Jesus, like just end the world right now. It's not worth. If I can't have my Hallmark Christmas, like it's not worth living.
If I can't watch Die Hard, if I cannot watch Hans Gruber fall off Nakatomi Plaza at Christmas time, what are we doing this for?
No, if I can't go to Christmas Eve service and they do that really niche Christmas Eve service, or they have like the children's choirs, or they do all the special arrangements with bells, or midnight, or like the
midnight mass,
yeah. If we get rid, like they're trying to get rid of that stuff, and I know that the libs will probably freak out over that or whatever, but it's true. It's all coded.
They're Unitarian Universalist and
moral relativists,
and Episcopalians can do a late night mass for Christmas. They can say Christmas at that. They didn't at that place, whatever they say, place of worship. I don't necessarily classify it as such.
So die on the hill of saying Merry Christmas.
So,
die on that hill, everyone.
Something that is. Thank you for this transition. Something that is going to die before Christmas, apparently.
Yeah,
is Wisconsin Eye. So right before Thanksgiving, it came out that Wisconsin Eye is going to have to halt coverage after falling short of funds needed to cover costs. So Wisconsin Eye is the network that provides coverage for state government, will cease operations on December 15th due to a lack of funding. So Wisconsin Eye is C-SPAN for committees and floor sessions. The network needed to raise $1 million to resume programming for 1 year. State lawmakers gave the network 1 more year to raise $10 million to receive the same amount in matching funds from taxpayers to establish an endowment. Wisconsin Eye's video archive of government proceedings will also go offline when the coverage stops on December 15th. So Shadow Gov, first, do you actually think it's going to go under? Do you think Wisconsin Eye is going to stop being Wisconsin? You really think it is?
Well, in the short term, yes. I don't think in the long term, no. I think December 15th, like that's going to
be very close. That's just a couple weeks away. Yeah.
Well, at least, 2 weeks away. Yep. Correct. So that is, obviously right around the corner. I don't see any changes coming in the near future. So it'll probably go under, but I think in the long run, it's probably going to get saved, because I do think that as a public courtesy to have some kind of reporting on what's happening. I mean, it's essentially C-SPAN for Wisconsin. For those that don't know, C-SPAN for Wisconsin. C-SPAN is really boring, but it's important that that stuff is televised and that people can watch it if they'd like. And frankly, I think more people should watch C-SPAN and Wisconsin Eye, just because as citizens, again, the onus is on us to take interest in these things. And if we don't, that's how you lose your republic. So Wisconsin Eye has a lot of, they obviously record a lot of good stuff, floor sessions, committees, speeches.
It's always there.
There's all kinds of stuff. So I think in the short term, yes, they go under, but I don't think they're going to be like, they just all of a sudden cease to exist.
Sure.
There might be like a restructuring of some kind of deal to make sure, because I think that the endowment is kind of the goal, because then they can kind of live off of that money.
And I really like that the legislature did that, quite frankly. I think if you're
Instead
going
of just like throwing money at them forever.
Exactly. Make them earn some money and we'll give you the match. Like that's I think a fantastic way to spend government money. Quite, in these situations,
and to get the endowment started, though.
Exactly. So, Journal Sentinel, though, says that between 2023 and 2025, Wisconsin Eye raised just $210,000 instead of the $10 million required to receive the full amount of funds for the endowment. So that's really that's frustrating. Like, what were you doing, guys? Like, I know times are always kind of tough. You're coming out of COVID, inflation. Joe Biden's completely at fault. I get it. But, there's a lot of sponsored programming. You watch programs, you watch The Insiders with Chuck Koala and Scott Jensen. Like, there's sponsorships before that. That's fine. I mean, hell, Wisconsin, I could run commercials for all I care and to fund its programming.
Yeah, why
But,
not?
you know, how much effort were they really putting in to get 210? I don't know. Like, that just seems
I
like.
also think, and to be devil's advocate, getting funding for public broadcasting is like
right.
oofta. Like, that's got to
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean,
hear you.
who's contributing? Big rollers and like people that are retired.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, I have no desire to, like,
right.
I had so many other things. I would donate to. Well, there's a lot of candidates. I would
sure,
donate
of course. Yeah, I could list
that.
a bunch of things before Wisconsin. I get that,
and that's no offense to Wisconsin.
You know, there's got to be some endowments out there and some funds that are meant for these purposes. And again, you've got plenty of national figures that probably would want to drop some money into this. For again, I don't know. Like, did they really look under every couch cushion and you know, under every rock?
I don't know.
I mean, we don't work there. I get it, but I think that's pretty disappointing to know they fell that far short, as opposed to saying, we only had, you know,
it's like what? That's like a pretty small percentage.
It's
10 million to 200K. It's not a whole lot. That's less than
3%, 4%, I think.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Wisconsin, I may have to go off air for a while, and we'll see how it goes. And you know, so there is value in Wisconsin and it would be disappointing to see it go off air. And unfortunately,
I hope they figure it out.
I hope they do too. So I want to talk about one more thing, very near and dear to me, something that I feel like I am a veteran of, and I use that in the loosest terms. Don't get all up in me for saying the word veteran. But the Great Burger War has really come to an end. So before Thanksgiving, AJ Bomber's burger restaurant in downtown Milwaukee closed after 16 years. Now, why am I giving a eulogy for a burger restaurant? And it's burgers. AJ Bomber's used to be this big thing. It made this big splash. They had smash burgers. It was a really cool environment. They had this little bomb that they'd shoot across and it hit a target and the peanuts would fall down. So if you had a nut allergy, you know, you probably weren't going there. Mm-hmm. The burger, they put peanut butter on it. First time I think I had peanut butter in a burger. Great combo, by the way. Do recommend it. And they had this amazing, and objectively amazing social media presence. They were all over Twitter at the time. And they really built this following. It was originally part of a group called Hospitality Democracy, which was run by a guy named Joe Sorge, who I don't even think lives in Milwaukee anymore, but he sold the company to Marcus Corporation, I think in 2017, 2018. Now, on the flip side, Joe was really up his own ass when it came to social media philosophy. But AJ Bombers dominated Twitter. They interacted with their patrons all the time. And there's a dark side to that, which is Bombers became deity level status with their daily regulars. And I mean, there was people that were going there daily to get burgers. Burgers are delicious. Don't get me wrong. I would eat a cheeseburger every day. I might look like I eat a cheeseburger every day. I try to eat a little bit healthier than that. In the summer of 2010, Travel Channel's Food Wars came to put Sobelman's Burger up against AJ Bombers. Now, Sobelman's delicious. Old school Milwaukee place in the Valley. It's clientele were people who worked in the businesses in the Valley and Marquette students, of which I was one. I remember going to Sobelman's my first time. You know, my dad would come visit me on campus and I'd be like, I don't know where to go to eat. And all of my friends who were college Republicans would go to Sobelman's. So I go there the first time, I order a regular burger. And I was like, it's fine. It's okay. And I tell my friends this. They say, you didn't do it right. Sobelman's, you go get the Sobelman burger, which is 3 cheeses, fried onions, fried jalapenos, bacon. At some point, I actually was able to knock down doubles. Loved it. So they took me there that night. We did it. You know, we always got beer there. It's a whole side thing. Probably why I love Sobelman's so much. But Sobelman's and AJ Bombers went up against each other in this burger war.
Love their Bloody Marys.
Yes, with the fried chicken. Like always made news for their Bloody Marys. And I would equate the early days of the burger war between Sobelman's and Bombers to like the home run chase between McGuire and Sosa, which also had Ken Griffey Jr. for a while but he wasn't on steroids or using cork bats. So he kind of fell behind. That place was called Stacked. Stack's been gone for a while. It was good. But Twitter at that time when the burgers, it got genuinely ugly. I mean, like partisan ugly, like worst. Everyone was in their corners for a fucking cheeseburger, but they were good. So
that's how serious we take it.
And I was Team Sobelman, obviously, through and through. And, Dave, you got to know the owner. He wasn't a big Twitter guy. So I was kind of carrying the water for Sobelman's at that time. But AJ Bombers won the Travel Channel food war. But David Sobelman and Sobelman's Burgers is the only joint left. And now AJ Bombers, which went from this amazing place. Again, I went there.
Mm-hmm.
Had an amazing atmosphere. They were on social media. Now you look at it, their social media, they haven't tweeted since December of 2021. You look back, there was no interaction with any guests, 1 or 2 likes per thing. Like they really fell off. So Marcus Corporation's choosing to close the place now, even though they were, at the heart of the burger wars of Milwaukee in 2010. And now only one place stands alone. And that
institution is gone, but I'm sure, it's some prime real estate down there too. So who knows what's going to
happen. Right. Yeah.
I'm sure another restaurant or a bar.
I think so. Yeah. Water Street's a little fuzzy now. Like I don't go, I rarely go downtown Milwaukee. It's usually for a Marquette game. I don't really cross the river anymore. Do go to one place called Mojo. Shout out, fabulous place. If you're downtown Milwaukee, you need to go to a bar. Go to Mojo's.
Okay, I haven't been there.
It's wonderful. It's highly recommend that place. It's a party, great atmosphere. If it's after a sports event, you might even find me there having my first post-game cocktail, post-game beer. But yeah, AJ Bombers is right next to
Red Rock.
Red Rock, that's right. So. I would go to AJ Bombers, then pop over to Red Rock to see the Toys, another great local Menominee Falls area band. Great people. Met the lead singer fairly recently, actually. Cool dude. That aside, I know something's going to fill in that spot, but
yeah,
maybe it'll be a Sobelman's. That would be the ultimate. That would
be the funniest outcome possible because. What's the nearest? In the
Milwaukee. It's in the Valley.
Yeah,
by Marquette. Yeah. The other one. So he kind of franchised a little bit
because there's the one up in Ozaki
that's gone now.
That's gone.
I know. I used to go there a lot too. That used to be at a bar that was owned by my neighbor's son.
Really? So that's gone.
So that's gone.
So there's just the one then?
There's the downtown one, but then there's Waukesha.
Oh yeah.
It's off of Carroll campus. I go there.
Yeah, I knew that.
But. Maybe I'll take my girls to Sobelman's and maybe a Marquette women's basketball game sometime around the holidays, early into January. But I just wanted to take a victory lap for Dave Sobelman, who I've been going there since I was 18 years old and still love their burgers. Can't eat a double anymore at all. I got half a single might fill me up these days, but it's a great place to go. And now the one remaining burger from the Milwaukee Burger
One burger
Wars.
to rule them all.
So that, folks. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great kickoff to the Christmas season. Watch your favorite Christmas movies, Die Hard, Gremlins, Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, I think qualifies. Whatever it is, enjoy the holiday season. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Good night.